And I call to order the Trails and Greenways Committee. This is a reorg for January 9th, 2025. We are going to skip the appointment of temporary chair and temporary secretary, as I'm going to take that role. Anthony, I'm going to do roll call. Anthony?
Here.
Beth?
Here.
Mark?
Here.
John?
Here.
Joe Falcone?
Here.
Joe Pascas is not here. Evan?
Here.
And the manager is here. If we could have a moment of silence, and then we'll have a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second? What, John?
Seconded by John Custer.
Yeah, okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 6-0. All right. Do we have any nominations for chair?
Nominate Anthony.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for chair? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0. Anthony, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you keeping us on the straight and narrow as always. Thank you. Next up is the election of the vice chair. Do I hear a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Beth Dungy.
John Custer nominates Beth
Second.
Andisha, seconded by Evan Pappas. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. 7.3, election of secretary. Do I hear a motion to elect a secretary? I move to elect Mark Carr.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. And we have our secretary. We have all of our election of officers completed. Okay, public comment for agenda items only. There's no one here in the public, no longer accepting any online stuff, so move on from that. On to item 9. So it's been a while since we've had a meeting because of the December meeting being canceled. So this is going all the way back to November 7th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from the November 7th meeting?
Motion. I remember that.
Seconded?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the November 7th meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed, and the minutes from the November 7th meeting are approved. Okay. Managers report.
Yeah, the only thing I have for you as a whole is we're going to do a committee orientation on Thursday, January 30th. Some of you, you're repeating what you did last year, so it's pretty much the same. But we are going to go through how to use the system again. Reminder of issues like making sure that we all stay good with the right to know laws from what we'll be doing, but also for the Sunshine Act on your part on actions that you take. So we'll have it's scheduled from 6 until 8. Usually what I do, and we'll send out exact invitations, but I usually bring in the chair and the vice chairs early for the first 40 minutes, and we go over how to run a meeting and make sure that we kind of stay on target for that. And then the last section will be for everybody. And we'll go through how to get in and look at your agenda online, how to take the minutes if you're taking minutes, and then go over right to know, not right to know, I keep saying right to know, Sunshine Act information for you to make sure that you're covered on what you can and can't do as a committee in that way. So that's what our plan is.
What time should those that are not chair or vice chair?
I think we'll send out an invitation for sure, but I'm thinking that it'll be like 6:45 kind of thing. I want to look over what I'm going to do for chair and vice chair real quick. I may think we could get done by 6:30. It really depends if everybody shows up, I'm usually done in 30 minutes, but occasionally people are running late and then I end up getting done at 6:45. So we'll look at it and give you an exact, but that's the intent. Between 6:30 and 6:45, I'll give you an exact time. We'll give you an invite.
Okay, so next on the list then is number 11, and it's the land development review. So it's been a while, obviously, since we've been together. And going back into the fall, we had a number of things come up that obviously have gotten a lot of conversation around in the township and everything. We have the Aronimink broadcast center for the upcoming PGA event and what they want to do there with clearing of trees to set up everything. And then we had made recommendations for reforesting essentially the area, not just planting the shade trees, but getting the understory stuff back and things like that. And then also proposing a trail along that section of the road, a sidewalk that would eventually be, a sidewalk specifically that could eventually be used to connect in for other parts of that road in the future. It's actually on the official plan and everything already. So it was kind of just in step with everything that we've already had for our committee. So sorry, sir, go ahead. It looks like you pulled something up.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
think she just pulled up the.
Oh, okay. So the question I have, sir, is that what is the next major step within Aronimink's land development? What's the next meeting that they come under for review? Do you know?
Well, they were before the board
Yeah.
on Monday of this week.
Okay.
I'm having a minute, but here,
Understood.
Monday of this week, and the board approved the
Okay.
plan. So really more for you is just kind of letting you know that they did that. And the report that the arborist did, there is some specific areas that they're going to be targeting to reforest on their plan. I don't know if their plan is there.
It's the last one.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the latest one that we got, because we got one on Monday afternoon. This is probably it. It took a long time to open on Monday night too.
Yeah, I'm trying to open up here.
It's a lot of color. And it's. Okay, if you would go down. Keep going down, keep going down. Let me see what we got here. I think it was like the third page. Nope, go down a little bit further. Keep going.
Oop.
Oh, go down one more. Keep going. We may not have the one I'm looking for on here.
If that was just Monday, this agenda was sent out prior.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah,
So we may not have gotten it on here.
what specifically are you?
They had a color rendering of where they were going to do replanting, and I thought if I could show you that real quick, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would definitely be helpful, yeah.
That's why I was looking to see if it's just, that was taking a really long time to load. But basically, the area right along St. David's where they're kind of doing some clearing, they're going to do an acre there and replant. we've agreed to allow them to take 4 years to do all the replanting, to make sure that they have ample attention to the trees so they get established versus, I think they
Just
have
plant
to.
them and let them. and
Yeah,
who knows,
and then
yeah.
not surviving. So, because I think they're planting between 400 and 600 trees. So there's quite a few trees that they're planting. We want them to survive. We want them to do well.
Are we getting back the same acreage of coverage that was?
Well, they're gonna take part of the area and keep it meadows, grass meadow, because they made to do further development further down. Instead of planting trees and having to come back in and take those trees out, they're just gonna go ahead and take it back to a high grass meadow. Very similar, if you'll just leave, go back up one more, please. It'll be very similar to what they did in front. If you come right around the corner and you get off the circle from St. David's, right there, kind of at the very corner of their property, there was a meadow that they several times has been converted to a gravel parking lot, and they take it back to a meadow after they're done. And they do a nice job of doing that. So does it keep kicking out? Okay.
Are you just looking at Google?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you pulled up the actual drawing, because I'm
No.
not seeing anything in this
We got to
plan.
see the meadow Steve was just talking.
Yeah. So if you'll just leave that page right there, I'm gonna try to. Yeah, right there. I'll just talk to it right there. So the idea is that in this area, they'll do some plantings that are pretty heavy. We'll keep the storm basin here. The stormwater basin here and the stormwater basin here will all be kept. They'll do some plantings along the backside edge. And then over on the other side of the property, down the 252 side, they've got several places, and along the front, kind of creating a pretty nice tree separation between them and all of the outside views. And so that's the plan that the board approved on Monday night.
No sidewalks?
No sidewalks in this case. It really wasn't a true land development. They could have come in just under a earth moving, soil moving permit, but we felt that it, as big as it was, it should go through the entire process, and that's why everybody got to weigh in, and we did that with them, and they agreed. And we wanted to make sure that got done.
So the question I have is related to, I guess it's like part in our committee and part not with the shade tree, is if they're not putting back the same acreage of forested area.
They're replacing trees per our tree plan.
Okay,
So, but to say that it's in exactly 10 acres is going to be reforested, I don't know that I can say that. What I can say is the tree plan says that they have to do so many, and I don't recall the exact number, I didn't bring down my
I
notes
remember
from
the
Monday night.
original shade tree was like, it was like 6 trees to every one.
Well,
Because of the
it's not
time it
that.
takes for those trees to grow back into
So
shade trees. and everything.
in our land development, if the tree is like 6 inches in caliber,
Yeah.
we require 1, I think. If it's
Yes,
10 inches in caliber, we require 2. If it's
I'm talking about for the larger trees.
for the
Yeah.
large trees, for the 30, we require 6.
Yeah,
30 and above. And so they are going to match that.
okay, so they didn't ask for relief or some sort of like.
They did
different on
not.
that. Okay,
They did not. Now, our ordinance allows to go in and take out dead trees. We also eliminate ash trees. And so if there's any ash, we don't require them to replace ash because they're all dying, and so that's not part of that requirement. So whatever the count that they had, they subtracted that out. I think there was, I don't know, 250 or 300 trees that were still viable. and they were placing those as per what our ordinance says.
And what about any of the undergrowth shrubbery type stuff? I know you're talking about the one spot being like meadows, but
They'll do the meadow, but I don't think anything else besides that.
okay. So one question I have just again to this committee would be with the land development review and our recommendation, if you're saying that that meadows spot, they might end up going back and doing something in the future, are any of those opportunities to get a sidewalk along there?
Well, I
Or
think
is
if
it
they
always gonna
do
be the
more
same thing?
development, we have an opportunity to request a sidewalk at that time. Yeah.
I mean, do we think there's actually an option of which that they're gonna accept it and do it if they continue to go along that same area? Where, because it is
Well,
the same area, so
I-
like in the past, we've talked about other land developments once where we would really like a sidewalk up here, but it's not adjoining, like the development that they're doing isn't adjoining on their property to that sidewalk. So that's why I thought this was a good option there.
Can
for
I just
this.
interject on that? Because
Yeah.
I know the area pretty well. I don't think you'd be able to put a sidewalk there because I think there's an embankment like they have at 252 in Goshen at the church. You know how that comes down like that? I think you would have to do substantial clearing there because I think the embankment comes directly down to the street. And that goes all the way down to Paper Mill.
I would imagine it would look some like the similar ones that are on the Lister side where it goes up an embankment, comes back down around. It's not gonna be a flat
I mean,
straight.
you
You're
could
gonna
do
come
that,
up
but
and
you're
down
gonna
and
be I
around.
mean, it's gonna have to go through their property.
Well, it would be on the property. It wouldn't-
Normally, we try to make
Yeah.
sidewalks and trails on the right of way as much as possible. And the answer is, when they come back, if they come back, I should say if, I don't know that they will, but if they come back,
Mm.
I think there's an opportunity to request it.
I know there's an opportunity to request it, it's just whether or not, I was just asking more for your overall opinion, if you thought that we would actually have a good chance of getting one.
Well,
Because if they continue to do the same redevelopment, parking lot area of the meadow type thing.
Yeah,
back
here's what
and
I'll
forth, then it
say.
sounds like no.
I mean, if they're coming back in and doing a temporary thing, I think it's less likely. I
Yeah.
think if they're coming back in and doing an ad, there's a greater chance. The board is really holding to that. I will tell you, the project at Stony Knoll, if you'll recall, Stony
Mhm.
Knoll, we asked for a trail. They gave us a trail from, as part of the land development, they gave us a trail from the,
Sidewalk.
Hunt Valley, up
Yeah.
to the entrance, but they didn't do it up to the next section because they said it didn't go anywhere. And just so you know, when they came back in to do some changes, the board said you needed to do that, you didn't do it then, you need to do it now. And they agreed to it. So I say it's a trail because it's not a concrete sidewalk.
Yeah.
It's an asphalt. But they did it across the entire front of that piece of property. So the board is asking for those things. And they're holding pretty strong. So I think that there's a good possibility that yes, I think it's possible to get, if that's
Okay.
what you're asking. But to say that for sure it'll be given, I don't, they may come back and say it's not doable, going back to Joe's comment that, the terrain may make it difficult. And so, but then maybe we get something else instead. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you. All right, on to new business, 12 discussions for trail walks and events. So we had a recent event over at the, over in Media at Rose Tree Media Park. So I just thought it'd be a good idea with the Christmas lights before they were off for the end of the year and everything. And I kind of discovered this little trail that went down there and it was really nice. So we walked through the open meadow area and then kind of came back up through this spot that no one even knew was there. And it was really nice. It's beautiful. Like it's very tranquil. It's very peaceful. And then we kind of came out right before the Christmas lights went on at that time. So it was really nice, huh? It was extremely cold. Honestly, though, once we got moving and the best part is that when we got into the little gully, there was no wind and it was actually really warm. We were all kind of hot as we were coming out, but it was really nice. Met some new people. We had some people from Devereaux actually come through. Yeah, it was a really nice event. We met some new people who had never been on any of the walks before. talked to him about the, you know, the agendas and things that we've been doing. And it was a nice opportunity. So obviously appreciate Terry still continuing to help us with scheduling trail walks and stuff. We were proposing to do one for February. So I don't know if anybody has any specific dates that they think work better, you know, for February to try and get something on the books. And the goal would be, let's pick a date that we think would be the most advantageous, give that to Terry. And then if you have any ideas of specific locations we could go to, things, you know, we could obviously always go and do ones we've already done before because there's only so many. And use it as an opportunity to reconnect with a lot of people from previous walks or whatever. So I'll open it up to everybody else. If you have any suggestions, dates and or locations?
Yeah, Anthony, I would ask for one of the last 2 weekends in February, just for my personal schedule. But
Understood.
yeah, I don't know if it'll be any warmer then, but I'm
It's not
available the
it's
last
not a
2
bad
weekends of
thought.
February, but the first two I might not be available.
Well, the nice thing about scheduling it so far out in advance that way too, is that it gives a chance for Terry and stuff to get the word out even more, maybe even get a bigger crew.
Sure.
So from that perspective, maybe we could pick something over at Ridley Creek, which would be able to sustain more people. That's something I don't think we've ever done one through Ridley Creek, is another opportunity. And a lot of people from the most recent walk actually asked, do you do walks at Ridley Creek? And I had said, I don't think we did yet, but it was a good opportunity. You could definitely have more people. There's a lot better parking. There's really good trail map access and stuff like that. So, okay, so why don't we say for right now, you know, the 15th to the 22nd in February, 22nd probably being ideal, and Ridley Creek. And then I'll talk to Terry and find out about, we'll take a look at which trails and try to get the best one possible for a nice big walk.
Sounds great.
And if we're venturing over to Ridley, you may want to talk to the Rangers and see if they're willing to
Do
say a couple words.
that would be, yeah, that would be a
before they
great
start.
idea. Yeah, okay,
It's
so
not
And give
unusual
us
for
a
them to do.
presentation in the
that would be, yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's try and do that. Okay, so last weekend, so in February, would be the 22nd and Ridley Creek. And I'll say possible Ranger talk. So, I don't know. I'll just go to their website and see if I can contact someone. That's the other nice thing about playing it so far out in advance, is it gives them a little bit more time to respond.
And they are usually somebody staffing the mansion during the week, so. Stop by.
Throwing her federal weight around.
Yeah,
National.
yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Break out my hat. and
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. I like
hey,
it.
do the secret handshake.
All right. No, I like it. That sounds great. Thank you. Okay, so that's at 12.2 update on the e-bike subcommittee. So Mr. Neese, I just wanted to know, so the last that we had all kind of talked, we had originally submitted this stuff back in, I think, October of the questions. And then it kind of got lost in the shuffle. I resent them to Mara, and we were just looking to see what is the township's.
Yeah, so we are in the process, we're changing some software that we have, and we will have access to, and I forget the name of it, I think it's called Zen City, which is a software that actually allows us to do surveying. And so we are in the process of making that conversion. And so I was hoping that we could tie it with that, because we were paying for that additional service. And so it would allow us to have a better, going forward, it'd allow us to have a better history, since we're buying this software that we would have access to ongoing, than just to use the software that we had that was like a one-off kind of thing that I just paid for it for the month that we were using it and then didn't keep it. But this is something that we're doing. It's tied to our newsletter. It'll allow us to do surveys ongoing. And I found that out at like in November, October, November timeframe that we were going to do it, but it wasn't being installed until now in January. So as soon as I get that on, we'll go back and look at what it takes to put a survey in. This would be a good test pilot to see how it works.
Sure.
And then we'll get it out, and hopefully that works well. one of the things we're trying to do right now is expand our email base so that we get to more people. One of the challenges that I have found, particularly with our e-newsletter, we think we're getting a pretty good turnout, but it's like, you know, I think 1,000 plus, which is nice. But when you have about 7,000 properties in town, it means I'm missing quite a few folks.
Sure.
So if we can start pushing, get people to sign up for the newsletter, it gives us a bigger base that we can then, when we do the survey, it's broader.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be the benefit, because we'll tie it back to that. It's all the emails will be in that database and we can just send it out. We'll do other things too. We'll get it out other ways, but it would be nice to be able to send it out to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a piece in the tax bill, encouraging people. We're gonna do a QR code and let people go to the, you know, put it in, be able to sign up, those kind of things. I'm also looking at potentially doing a postcard, you know, mailed to everybody's house. Just how many times do I have to get it in front of people to get them to sign up and then, you know, get them to do that? One of the things that I think we can use to our benefit is that there was a lot of confusion because people think that the Newtown News, which is being sent out, is actually a township document. It is not. It's put out by Franklin Maps, I think, and they are just doing it. And some of the data in it related to the township is not accurate. And so this would be a good opportunity for us to let people know, you know, if you really want to know township information, this is how you need to get it. And so we're going to be looking at doing some things to try to boost that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of you having a broader, better system for surveying, because who knows when it could come in helpful with some of the other initiatives that we're going for. And I don't know, the zoning committee stuff, or just any of this stuff.
Oh, there's a lot of
Great.
things we would be able to use
Yeah.
it for.
No, that's great news. Okay. All right, on to 12.3, update on the official town map. I know, John, you had said that from the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Yeah,
Leonard had
Leonard out
mentioned
there, he
it.
mentioned it's one of the proposed accomplishments.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
was nice.
Yeah.
So Steve, I don't know if you can give us a quick.
Yeah, quick update. We went through, you guys did a great job of pulling in some properties. There was a couple properties that the parcel number didn't pull through. And so we're having to figure out how to get that in for the GIS mapping and do it. So as soon as we get that done, it'll
I
go.
had some trouble with the links.
Yeah.
Like some of them were, like most of them were working.
But
And then some of them, I kept going back to the Delaware County site and like redoing it, and it wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out why, but the number should be right. The actual.
Yeah, there's a
parcel.
couple that didn't have numbers that you all.
Oh.
That we wanted to add, that you all weren't
okay.
able to add, and that's
Okay.
what we're working on.
Okay, gotcha.
Because we want to make sure that they're on the map. You and I had talked about them. when
Those
you and
other
I met,
properties, right.
But because they didn't have, for some reason, the county doesn't have parcel numbers for those because it's treating it kind of as just open space. And when it treats it as open space, it doesn't necessarily give it a parcel number.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we want those on that map to make sure that they stay like we
Protected.
want them. And so that's one of the things that Eric and I are working through
Okay,
to make sure that it goes through properly. So once we get that done, and I hope to get that done within the next 30 days or so, then it would go back out. It would be reviewed by the planning commission, and then it would go back before the board of supervisors.
okay, and we
So-
think that's a few months out?
Well, before it's finally passed,
Yeah.
yes, but we're gonna keep working on it.
It has to go back to the planning commission then?
It has to go to the I don't think it's been to the planning commission yet.
Oh, okay.
The concept of doing it was there, but the actual,
Oh, the
here's
actual,
the-
here's all.
here's all the
uh,
properties, here's the map, because the map hasn't been generated
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
Once
yeah.
that map is generated, it has to go through a public process. It has to be advertised twice, because it's a zoning change. and all of that will be done, and then it'll go before the board.
So with the sheer number of properties, how does that look for the planning commission as far as like, do they just say, we've got to dedicate an entire meeting to this just because of the sheer number of properties and the potential questions and public input?
I don't think so, because most of the properties that are on it, you recall how we did it.
Yeah,
Most of the properties are either township properties already,
municipal,
or they're municipal authority properties. I mean, I think it'll be a pretty easy
Okay.
sell the way we did it, and that was one of the reasons why we wanted it to go through that way.
understood. Okay, that's helpful. I appreciate the feedback.
And there will be a public meeting.
Yes, there
Two,
would be a
apparently.
public meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great news. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's obviously a lot of work that went into the whole process.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're getting closer feels really good. Okay, update on the zoning commission under 12.4, zoning subcommittee, sorry. Evan, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, I'll keep it real brief. So Joe and I had met last year, came up with a couple of Joe Kasuska and I had met last year. And we came up with a few recommendations, mostly regarding some of the uses, occupancy and uses that are allowed in the C1 district, some parking requirements, and some setback requirements. I've written up our recommendations with specific language of what we'd want to recommend a change in the zoning code. I'll propose that we send this out to all the members of the committees, then we can have I don't want to read this to you now.
No, yeah.
We can send this out to everybody, and then we can have a discussion maybe next meeting, and then, pick, we could refine the exact language you want to send to the supervisors as a zoning change.
Yeah, and then,
recommendation.
and then
Maybe-
the next meeting, we could essentially vote on that official language, the way like when Mark will transcribe it or make sure he has it already. And then that way we could just he could only have to make minor tweaks to it for us to officially vote on. That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. Did I send you the write-up yet?
You did, but I thought you said you had made changes
Okay,
since the
let me
first
resend-
one.
let me
Because I
resend
think
it.
I think you had said that you had sent me a first draft. I looked through it and then you said that you had to tweak some things, but that
Yeah.
was because it was a while ago now.
Yeah, I'll resend it.
Okay.
Today or tomorrow, and
All right, and then I'll
send
make
that out
sure,
to the
Yeah.
whole committee.
I'll get it out to the whole committee in 2 separate emails and then for stupid sunshine stuff, and then we'll sorry, I don't know. I mean, it's always weird. I don't know how, because you always worry about people replying to.
Yeah, the biggest key is just, if you send something out to everybody, just make sure, I do this all the time. I write on it, do not reply all. And, that's, or information only, no
Yeah,
replies,
yeah.
those kind of things. So that's how you have to be careful.
Okay, all right.
We'll
but I
talk
like the
about all
plan.
that on the 30th.
But I like the plan though. It's good. We'll get it out and then Mark will make sure that you kind of come into the next meeting already with a document ready to go. And then any potential minor tweaks can either be done live, or if somebody, especially like with the knowledge from John and Joe and their legal background, maybe they might have some more substantial changes that we can get in ahead of time at the meeting.
Yeah.
So then we come in, I'll get it tomorrow ahead of time and back to Mark, that
Right.
they can be ready, where the agenda is sent to us, in the few days prior, week prior, and then we're ready to go with all that language.
Mark, would it be helpful if, in addition to the report that Joe and I wrote, that if I have the motion kind of written out, like I can extract the parts of this that would be the motion?
Yeah, it'd be great, and I
Just
can
have
tweak it.
That would make it easy
Two-page,
on him,
two-
yeah.
two documents, here's the motion, here's the report, which has just some discussion items in it that wouldn't really be part of the
Right, because
motion.
then I can just cut and paste and put it into here.
Yeah.
And then as we make changes with the motion,
Yeah.
I can just tweak it there
That
for
works.
the meeting, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, we've definitely gotten, in the past several meetings, we've definitely gotten a lot better with the formalization of this process, thanks mainly to Mark's organization. So I really appreciate that, and I think that this is, an important thing that we've kind of overlooked for a while. I'm really glad that, Evan, you've been spearheading a lot of this, and missed Joe tonight. He messaged me earlier, said he couldn't make it, but yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, everyone.
yep, thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions, comments on the zoning stuff that we're looking at doing into the next meeting? No? Okay. All right, on to old business. Just looking for an update, how we're looking with the parking lot. That's all. Any new news from PennDOT?
Yeah, so the good news is, in fact, we received it late last night, that PennDOT has approved us doing the delineators, and gave us a highway occupancy permit. The bad news is it's January and we have snow and
Yeah,
salt on the road. And so we're probably gonna wait till like early part of spring, maybe March, at looking and actually going in and putting those in, because our Public Works team is gonna be the one that installs it. And so, we're thinking that, what I don't want to do is get started on it in the middle of a piece and then turn around and have a snowstorm coming in, and I got to pull everybody off and go fight snow, and then, I'd like to have it where they can, because I think
Yeah.
it's going to take them a day or two to do it, and it'd be better just to let them go do it.
well,
So-
I mean, listen, it's positive that PennDOT approved it. I mean, that's it. I mean, that was one of the things that I always get weary of is PennDOT in general, because
No.
I have to deal with them professionally and it's always fun.
It just takes time.
Yeah,
So the good news is that happened, and so, I think we've got a real positive piece there. We'll probably be doing, like I said, in probably March, maybe as late as April, just kind of watching the weather where we are. And then,
but George and our group is doing the
but
actual.
George and our team is actually doing the install of
That's
these.
great.
And so, we may hire like a flagger force or somebody to actually come out and do the flagging during that time, because it's a pretty dangerous spot. We want to make sure it's well marked, and
Sure.
we don't want anybody getting hurt. And then if you haven't been down to the Meadow Preserve, we have made the adjustment on the trail, so that if you go up the Lissitor Trail and you get to the end, the trail now turns to, it used to kind of go straight, you kind of died and you would go right down the hill,
Mhm.
actually turns back make sure I get it right, to the right, and
Towards 252.
running parallel with 252. So you've been running perpendicular away from 252,
Okay,
going towards the Meadow Preserve if you're on the Lissitor Trail. Like you've walked up along parallel, and then towards the northern section, you make a left and you start heading back to the 50-acre Meadow Preserve, right? So you're going up along 252, and then you almost about the time you get to Episcopal Academy, a little bit before that, you turn to the left and you start walking back along the top edge of what is the Lissitor subdivision, and you come across that, you're kind of walking parallel to the road that takes you back to where the parking lot would be. And you go back to that point just before, it used to be that there was a signboard there, a message board, and people would just go right down the hill. If you remember, the hill was pretty steep.
yep,
And so a couple years ago, we had done a cut in to kind of make it a little bit easier for people. The trail actually now turns to the right. And
Gotcha.
it takes you out and to the edge along the road, to the driveway that's there. We're actually putting in a piece of the trail. We'll actually pave it this spring, but we'll pave along the edge of the roadway there for the trail. And it will take you to what the new head of the trail will be, which will cut in, and it will go and catch that switchback that we put in a couple years ago. And it will catch that piece and allow people to enter the park.
Okay, so
That
that
way.
switchback's not that far from that corner, so it doesn't even go that far.
No, it's
yeah.
probably,
50
uh,
yards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not far.
yeah, okay, I got you. At first when I was looking, I didn't know how far up you were going.
It,
That's what I
it
was
takes
curious.
you right to where the parking lot is.
Perfect, okay.
And then from the parking lot, we're gonna pave a section that is for ADA accessibility. We're also gonna put in a bench for viewing. And then at that spot, we'll also do the entrance in on the trail.
Nice.
Okay?
You described that very well from memory.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
I've only been there a bunch of times.
Yeah,
And one of the things that was there, if you recall, there was a place where people were pulling in and parking right there at that edge. We've gone in and put in a berm, and we planted trees. We're gonna plant some more trees this spring, encouraging people to move the parking to the parking lot.
sure. That's great.
Okay.
That's good news. Yeah, well, I mean, again, glad we got the PennDOT approval. That's a huge hurdle. Good news. Okay. That's pretty much it. I mean, the next thing is just, again, I'm just recurring going through this, establishing the policies, part of the zoning stuff is a big portion of that. So again, that's ongoing, but this is probably, that subcommittee has been one of the bigger leaps that we've made forward recently, and obviously looking forward to the entire group to review and vote on those recommendations next meeting. So that's awesome news. Item 2 is with the assistant committees and the public. So the outreach. So we touched on it today with the potential for the survey, questions, stuff like that. We're obviously always trying to engage with the public at different events. When's the next township event where we have, it's probably a while from now. It's probably not until the spring, right? Where we have like something in the circle. It's probably going to be a while. Like where we have a table out and all that kind of stuff.
I honestly
fun.
don't know of an event that's planned at this moment. We may know more about that when we meet in
Okay.
that meeting on January 30th
Yeah,
from the other groups. I don't know that there's anything specifically planned.
yeah,
What I will tell you is we are, as a township, we're gonna probably be focusing a little bit on 2026. Just, we're gonna have the PGA golf tournament here, obviously, we've been talking about that. But it's also the 250th anniversary of the country, so we're gonna be looking at what kind of events do we tie into that. And so really gonna be focusing on that kind of stuff. So we'll probably do a small event this year, but I think big events, we're probably looking the future year.
okay.
Oh, yeah, the World Cup is here.
And
The,
the All-Star
the,
game.
the All-Star game is here. There's a ton in the, there's a lot that happens in Philadelphia.
The hotels are already starting to book up, and up in Boston, they're moving events out of the city because like the city of Boston doesn't have enough space for
Yeah,
so Philly's gonna get hammered.
yes.
Lovely.
There's a lot going on, and we have a really great opportunity as Newtown Township to be a place where people are gonna be going as a destination. And so we're literally looking at what we can do to piggyback off of that and shine brightly during that time.
Gotcha. Okay.
If they have a couple items,
I'm sorry, what was that?
couple things I want
Yeah.
to mention.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I'd like this committee to formally thank Terry for her years of service on the committee. I don't know if that takes the form of a letter of thanks or something like that. What do you think the best way to do that?
I don't know. I mean, I've never really been a part of it. I completely agree. I mean, Ev and I were talking that we were kind of bummed about really not having the December meeting, which would have been her last one. I mean, she's probably like the perfect volunteer. Passionate, cares, always dedicates her time. I don't think she's ever missed a meeting except for when her father passed away, I think was like the only meeting she ever missed. So it is, we're kind of bummed out that she's not on the committee, but she's still willing to be engaged. So yeah, I agree. I mean,
I just want to officially thank her for.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. If there's a way that, I mean, we can kind of do something on letterhead as just an official thank you for your time. I don't really know, but I'm all for it. So I don't know if there's any precedent or things that have been done in the past for,
Well, I mean, if you put a letter together and you want to send it, we'll,
I'll
Get it,
volunteer to write the letter.
write the letter,
Get it
get it
signed
to us,
by-
we'll
yeah.
go ahead and
I'll write the letter, yeah.
send it over.
that would be very helpful. Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, Evan and I agree. And I mean, I don't think anyone else here disagrees. I mean, Terry's awesome. She's continuing to help, yeah. And she's truly committed to the cause regardless of her attendance here, and that's just amazing. So, yeah, I
Thank
agree.
you.
That's a
Yep.
great idea.
The other thing, I just wanted to ask about, we mentioned, getting someone involved to help with grant writing. I don't know where that was kind of left? Want to ask about that in
The
general.
last was the township was hiring a consultant potentially, right?
Yeah.
And then
And that
it was
kinda got
originally a
put on-
position, and then that kind of went away, and then they were going to an outside consultant.
And the grant writing consultant kind of got put on hold this year because the tightness of the budget. I mean, it's still on my list of things that we need to do. And we'll be looking at that probably for 2026 as well. I don't know that it'll, I have a lot of grants right now that we have to get cleaned up, that we have, we've got a trail grant out here that has to be done in 2025. We've got a couple other grants that have to be done in 2025. And I wanted to make sure we got those cleaned up before we did anything else.
Presently, who writes these grant applications?
So it depends.
Township staff?
I've used township staff for some. Some of their grants have been written by committees like yourself.
Okay.
They see a grant, they say, oh, we should go for this grant. And so it's been written by committee. We've used our engineers from time to time to write our grants. So it's a variety of places where it comes from.
Where do people see that grants are available? I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. So,
For the trail stuff, there's a lot from the state level. And that's was it in September, I think, every year, was that Trail Summit? They talk a lot about grants. There's Delaware County and the state. When they do the Trail Summit, which is typically the one in Havertown, John, is in February, right? That's the one that John and I presented at in the past. There's Steve Beckley from the county, right? Has actually helped us in the past and talked to us about possible grant options at a county level. And then he's actually given us some contacts at the state level. The difficult part is just the competition, and then the quality of the writing of the applications is really where it comes through. To the point of why they need either a dedicated position or a consultant help. That's at least the feedback that we've gotten in the past from him. And then we've kind of probably not taken enough initiative, I would say, in our committee. Now knowing, I didn't even realize that other committees had written grants for the township before.
Yeah, let's
But
give it a shot.
knowing
What's the
that,
worst that can
let's just
happen is
try. We
they
failed.
say no, okay, so what?
And we
try,
learned something,
learn.
maybe.
Yeah, let's get into
The
it.
State of Pennsylvania this year also put out a new grant search tool.
Okay.
That I have the
Oh.
link for. I think I sent it to you a while ago, but I could resend it to
Oh,
everyone.
yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's new.
What? I think it may be state grants.
No,
But they would be
no,
public
they're
grants.
open to the private industry.
no, I
too.
think what you're asking is grants from a public entity.
Oh, yeah, like the funding. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
but I mean, at least this is like kind of a clearinghouse for at least that type of stuff, so. I will send that to you guys.
Okay. But yeah, so, I mean, now knowing especially that the township is kind of putting that on hold for now, then let's just take a stab, and I mean, maybe we pick what we think is the most applicable one to our mission. So that we don't get too scattered with it, pick one and then just go for it. Why not?
Yes.
Try it out. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. Any other board comment, any other things that people want to bring up right now that we either haven't covered or they'd like for the next meeting? Right now, on next meeting, the biggest agenda item will be the review of the zoning recommendations made by Evan and Joe. So we're gonna get that out to the group, really soon here, so that you have plenty of time to review it. And then get those comments back in, and then I'll get everything when we feel in the best possible position tomorrow to get on the official agenda for next month. But is there anything else that people would like specifically to come up in next month's meeting?
I think we should spearhead the signage.
Yeah, we did get a quote back for that, and it just came this week, so. On
That's fine.
the agenda for today.
That's great, though. It's good. We got some information. Okay. Okay, so then what I'd like to do, then is for next month's meeting is focus on those two items primarily. And then any other updates, you know, obviously Steve will not, he always makes sure he puts stuff on the agenda if there's something specific. So barring anything major with like a big land development review that might suck up some time, we'll focus on those two items for next month's meeting. We've got the potential for a trail walk in Ridley Creek, which would be the end of next month anyway, so we still got plenty of time there. And I'll talk with Terry about that and see if we can at least get some more details to the rest of the group by the next meeting of what exact trail, timing, all that will. Okay, any other board comment? Nobody from the public here, so no public comment, and then we're on to adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Joe Falcon, seconded by Beth Andisha. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.